Hey, it's Josh from Vacuums RS in Colorado, and we're going to be doing a Shark repair today. The issue that this was checked in for is no brush roller spin. However, in addition to that, when I was looking at the machine preparing to go into it, I see that the lower hose down here has a crack in it. So we've already done some micro switch replacement videos, but today we're going to be showing you how to replace this hose. While we're in there, we'll probably figure out why the brush isn't spinning as well. But the important part here is this hose down at the base cracks frequently. This particular Shark is a NV651, so it's an NV650 series. So if your Shark, your model number typically is going to be back here. If you're an NV651, 652, whatever, and I'll check and see what other models it applies to, then this video is going to apply to you exactly. So speaking first to the brush roll spin issue, on these particular machines, these are the machines that are the lift-off, where you have power in the hose. And you know you have power in the hose because you have these electrical connections right here on the hose. So the power to the power head that runs the motor that's in the power head actually passes through the hose and then through the wand into the power head. So one of the reasons that your brush roller will stop spinning is that you have a lack of continuity in your hose or in your wand. So the power is not making it into the head. To check and see if that's what your issue is, if you turn the machine on, and you have lights down here, you know you're getting power to the head. So your issue is somewhere here in the head. It's not in the hose or wand. And actually, if we look, and you're probably gonna be looking down like this for the rest of the time, you can see the crack in the hose right there that we're gonna be working on as well. But we know our issue with the power is in the head. So I'm gonna pop all this off. Get this out of my way, unplug it, knock myself unconscious, and we're going to pull this all out of the way because we know, because we have power in the head, because the headlights are coming on, we know that the issue related to the brush not spinning is located in the head, and it's not something to do with the hose or wand. If you do have an issue with your hose and wand, you're not getting power to your head, someday I'll do some videos on how to fix those issues. Sometimes you can actually fix those wand issues and hose issues. The contacts are actually spring loaded, and there's some issues that take place with that. So we're gonna open this up. I verified that the issue is not the belt. If you turn the brush roller and you have tension on the brush roller, that means that your belt is intact and it's contacting the motor. The tension that you feel is the tension of the belt rotating the motor manually. If the brush spins freely without any tension, you have a broken belt. Now it's interesting to note, it's incredibly unlikely that you have a broken belt. It's very rare with Sharks that the belt will break. All kinds of other things will go wrong before the belt breaks on these machines. So a lot of times, constantly have people asking, do you have Shark belts? Do you have a belt for my Shark? And we ask, well, is it broken? Do you know if it's broken? They're like, well, I assume it is. It's probably not. It's probably something else. So we're fortunate in this case that this Shark has Phillips head bits. Looks like we have no Torx bits or security bits here. If you get into your Shark and you don't have Phillips heads, you'll see like a star-shaped bit. It's called a Torx bit. Frequently that Torx bit will have a peg in the middle of it. Typically those are referred to as security bits. Those can be a little bit tough to find. We have them on our website, a specific set that has all of the different sizes that Sharks will have. So if you're going to go to our site to buy the hose or switch or whatever it is that we're going to be doing in here today, you can pick up a set of those bits as well. I'm going to go ahead, and I've got some screws across the front here that I'm going to remove. I've got one very small screw that's in the front center right here, so we're going to set that aside and remember that we have a smaller screw that goes in there. I'm going to move around to the back. I've got another screw over here. There's a lot holding these things together. And also, I'll note that there's a larger screw that went in right here. And, whoops, sorry. Okay, so I've got a very small screw in the center. I've got two smaller screws on the sides, and up here we're getting into the larger size screws. Larger size screw. And still all the same size. And I just pulled a short screw out of the center here, right here in the middle where the hose is in there. There's a shorter screw in there as well. And then there's two screws back here that are holding the clear plate. And those are small screws that are the size of the screw that was in the center right here. So we've got three very small screws. We've got 3 shorter screws thus far, 2 on this side and the 1 in the center, and then the rest of the screws are the larger, more substantial screws. And I believe that is all of them, if I'm not mistaken. We'll find out if it doesn't pop off we missed something. Nope, that's all of them. Okay, so we're inside now. I'm going to clean out the hair right here real quick so that we can see what's going on. Okay, so first I'm going to see if I can figure out why we're not getting brush spin. I see a lot of burn here around the motor, a lot of buildup. So it's possible that this motor actually failed completely. It's typical to see some soot here from the brushes burning up, but there's quite a bit here. So I'm kind of suspicious of that, but I'm going to test the micro switch. That's the most common thing to go wrong with these. The micro switch cord comes off right here, and so I can check continuity on my micro switch right here with my multimeter. All right, so I'm going to turn my multimeter, just continuity. I'll turn it right on there. I always check to see if we're connected. So I check to make sure that my multimeter is working before I do the test. So what I should have, and I can't remember on these if it's open or closed that I'll have continuity, but I'm going to make some contact to the 2 metal points right here that I can see exposed on this wire. And then I'm going to close the switch. This is tough to do with only 2 hands. So I'm getting continuity, no continuity. I had it for a second. I had continuity there for a second when it was open. Don't mind all the dogs in the background. There we go. So I do have continuity. My micro switch is fine. So unfortunately, that means something else is going wrong here, which is going to be a little bit more difficult to troubleshoot. This motor is a 120 motor, so I can jump this directly. It's marked right on there that it's 120. So I'll jump the motor. If the motor does not jump, if I can't get the motor to spin, then that's going to tell me that my PCB has failed. That's kind of narrowed down. It's kind of narrowed down the possibilities there. I can, though. This wire loom will sometimes go bad. Am I a 3-wire? I'm a 3-wire, so it'd be tough to check continuity on that. Because sometimes the wires here, really on any machine, and I dog shark pretty hard for good reason. It's just terrible design in general. But any machine that has this kind of pivot here where we have wires going through, your wiring rate here is a high failure rate point where it'll break. So we could pull this out and check continuity of these wires coming through here into there. I'm going to jump the motor real quick though, just because I'm real suspicious that we've got motor failure just based on the amount of soot that's on there. So, you know, I've mentioned it in a lot of my videos. Shark is they don't sell most any repair components. So they sell some repair assemblies for a brief period of time after manufacturing a product. It kind of provides the illusion that you're going to be able to repair and maintain and keep that machine. But very shortly after they discontinue producing a particular given model, they stop producing and offering any parts at all for that model. So it's very difficult. That's one of the many reasons that it's very difficult to repair sharks, is very simply the manufacturer doesn't want you to. So they're not interested in producing repair components. And I hear a lot of people say, oh, all companies do that. Well, if everybody kicks puppies, it doesn't make it right that people kick puppies. Maybe we should just, stop kicking puppies. And I also disagree that all manufacturers do that. I think if you're shopping in Walmart, then that might be your experience. That you're not going to be able to maintain those products. I would posit to you that if you're shopping in Walmart or Amazon, you are engaged in that product cycle, and that's why you're experiencing that. So I'll be right back. I'm going to grab my jumper wires. We're going to jump that motor, see if that motor powers up. I'm going to pause you for a second. All right, and we're back, and here's a good place to give you the disclaimer. We are working with electronics here. If you're not qualified to do this, do not. I am not liable for anything that goes wrong after you watch this video. This is simply a free service that I am offering. If you do not feel comfortable with this, do not do it. If your vacuum cleaner becomes sentient and eats your cat as a result of anything that took place in this video, well, first of all, I don't really like cats, so I don't feel that bad, but I'm also not liable. So what we're doing here is I have these jumper cables, and all they are is they're alligator clips. And it runs directly to power to 110. We're going to plug into the wall. I'm attaching those alligator clips to the contacts on the motor. We're going to see if the motor powers up. This is dicey. This is something that you do every day with testing electronics, but you need to be careful to make sure that you don't have any contact here with any metal. When this does power up, if this motor does fire up, the brush roller is going to start to spin. So we need to be careful when we're doing these type of things. If we just let it sit here and the brush roller has contact with my bench here, the machine may walk off, it may run off, and we make contact. So I'm going to lift it and kind of hold it a little bit, and we'll see if we power. That sounds absolutely atrocious. I'm going to try that one more time. So, your motor is firing, but man, it sounds horrible. I don't have any obstructions. So, I'm going to put my wires back in. That's interesting. That wire does not, it feels like it might be loose on the PCB. All right, well, the motor fires. It sounds atrocious, and I'm wondering if I'm not giving it the right power source at this point, but it does fire. I want to get my insulation boots back on there. So I'm going to pop this, I'm going to pop the PCB real quick. I'm going to have to bring the PCB out in order to check continuity. I'm going to check continuity on the wires that are running through the neck and see if that is where my issue is. If that's where my issue is, this is going to be a tough repair because it's not easy to replace the wires that are in that neck. It's a really tight space. A lot of stuff is glued together. All right, so I'm going to pop the PCB real quick. Very small screws there. We'll pull our PCB out. All right, and here we have the 3 wires that are coming. These are wire nutted right here, and these are the wires that are coming through the neck. So it looks like I can make contact inside of these wire crimps. I'm going to be able to touch the metal that's in there. A little bit tough. You know, if you want to remove your wire crimps so that you can get to those wires easier when doing continuity testing, you can, but then you gotta put wire nuts back on them again. So I don't know. There's 3 contact points inside this neck, and I don't know which contact point runs to red, white, and black. So I'm simply going to make contact inside this red nut here, and then I'm just going to touch all 3 until I find it. So it's the red, as it turns out, is the center one. So I'm going to go to white now, and I do have continuity on that. So. And then white is the one that facing the machine, it will be left. And then black is going to be facing the machine, is going to be right, is the only contact I have left. And so I have continuity. So I do have continuity throughout the neck right here, and that leads us down to the PCB as the only remaining component that could be failed. Again, I didn't like the way the motor was popping there, but I'm wondering if I may be feeding the wrong power source into the motor, and that's why it's like that. Either way, I'm going to say that the PCB is bad. This is a product. Shark doesn't sell the PCB. You can check our website. We sell reconditioned and pre-owned parts. Often we'll have these PCBs that are tested and ready for sale, so you can buy that PCB if that's what you narrow it down to, and you can get the repair done. So that's the issue there. We're going to move on to the hose right now, though. I don't have a PCB here at this store. I'm going to have it transferred from our boneyard. But I'm going to go ahead with this hose right here and show you how to do the hose replacement. So I'm going to pop this out. So this neck at this point is completely free. I've got wires right here that are going under my micro switch, and I don't want to pull it around too much because then my wires are gonna rip. So I've got that out. And what I'm going to do with this hose, there's a crack right there. It's already cracked is I'm just going to yank it out and I'm going to let it strip out. There's a wire inside the hose, and that wire is essentially going to kind of strip out and rip out from inside this. And there we go. I've got that out. On the other side of it is this plastic right here, and I'm going to need to rip out from the plastic as well. So I'm just going to pull this, and it's just going to shred this. This hose is really brittle. This is bad shape. Bad shape. And then that came out real clean, actually. So I've got some residual, I've got some glue in there, I've got some debris. I'm going to want to clean that out because we're going to end up gluing this back in, and we want to have a good clean area to glue back into, as clean as possible. It's a vacuum cleaner. There's going to be dirt in there, but I'm going to hose it down with isopropyl alcohol. I do love me some isopropyl alcohol. Anybody who's watched my videos before, see I use it a lot for a lot of cleaning. That's actually denatured alcohol. Where's my isopropyl? There we go. It evaporates quickly. Doesn't leave a residue. You want to use this in a well-ventilated area. I'm just gonna, this doesn't have to be immaculate. Don't mind the whining dog in the background. He's a little baby dog. His mom probably walked out into the showroom without him and left him in the warehouse. Poor Maximus. So, this doesn't have to be perfect, but it certainly cleaner is better than dirtier. So I'm not a perfection on this. I need to have enough clean area that the glue is going to bond. The hose fits in here to begin with. It's not like it's going to fall out because it sticks in there, but I'd like to have enough clean area that I can get a good seal, and I'm not losing a lot of air leakage into the head either, because these things don't have the best airflow to begin with. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to take shots at Shark the entire video. We had a lady, she's got a repair in here right now, and she came in and she's like, I saw this guy on YouTube, and he doesn't really like Shark, and I don't care. I don't want to repair it. All right, that's good. You're very emotional about that vacuum cleaner. All right, so that is clean enough for me. And I'm gonna, this other side is actually the harder side to clean out. Again, what I love about isopropyl alcohol is it just evaporates really fast, so we can get back to work real quick. Use a pick here to kind of pick some of the glue out. We'll get this in there. All right, yeah. And now we're ready to put our hose back in. So we're going to be using a special glue. It's like a clear glue that remains pliable. And that's important for this stuff. You don't want a glue that doesn't stay somewhat pliable, because the hose can end up ripping again if it's glued to that type of glue. So again, you can buy this on our website. I've got a huge bottle of it here, but we sell these little tiny bottles that are enough to do probably 2, maybe 3 of these sharks. These little tubes. It's super handy. You don't have to buy a great big huge tube. And then you can get it all at the same time. And I'm going to go grab the hose for this, and I will be right back. All right, I am back. I've got my hose, and I'm going to screw my hose into there. I'm going to get some glue on it, screw it in, screw it into the other side. We're going to put this back together again with our new hose. Now, it is important that you get the right hose. That seems like it would be obvious, but so one of the challenges with Sharks is that your hose, essentially, as you saw, it screws in there, right? So if you don't have the right turn on your hose, if it's too tight or if it's too wide, it's not going to screw into this well. It's like putting the wrong threaded screw into a bolt or into a hole or something like that. So it's important we get the right hose. There's also, Shark uses multiple different widths of hoses too. So if it's too big, it won't fit. If it's too small, it won't fit. We have listed on our website, to the best of our ability, all of the different models of Sharks the given hoses work on. So reference that. It is challenging because Shark has a rapid product cycle. They understand that typically consumers will not buy the same model of product twice if they have a failure on that product. They also understand that their products fail rapidly. So they perform very well on the surface anyway, and then they fail rapidly. So what their business model is, they figure you're probably going to buy another Shark, but probably, and I'm going to put this in, I'm going to kind of screw it until I feel it bite in and kind of screw in. So they know you're probably going to continue to buy the same branded product, but if they can offer you a different model that looks differently, you're more likely to stay brand loyal and just keep getting different models, assuming that someday you're going to find the magic Shark that doesn't break in 2 years. As a result, because they don't produce any given model for an extended period of time, it's very difficult for us to mark what parts different models are available with, or what models different parts are compatible with, because they're constantly changing up their game for marketing purposes. And I think I was actually screwing that in the wrong direction. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, duh. Okay, there we go. I was screwing that the wrong direction the whole time I was rambling. Okay, so that's the right length right there. We can see that it's the right length. Once we get it put into here, we'll be good to go. So I'm going to put some glue on here. In this case, I'm going to put it, I'm going to apply the glue to the inside of this. And again, if you get one of those small tubes from us, it's plenty of glue. You can be generous with the glue, and I'm usually quite generous with it. I find it easier to just put a bunch on and glop it all over the place. So I'm going to screw that in, and it's important that we end it the right place. I went a little bit. Did I go too far? I think I may have. Nope, I'm good. So on these machines, there's a couple of different things. There's a little point down here. There's this side piece right here, which we need to make sure. So air has got to flow out of this. It flows into the motor compartment, and the idea is that it keeps debris out of the motor compartment. You saw how well that worked, but this little hole right here needs to be free, and I can see I did leave that open, so I'm good. And then we're gonna get this. It kind of just snaps in, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a real pain on these things to get these to snap in right. And I don't know what the trick is. I just wiggle it around until it snaps in. You know, if another tech is watching this and wants an actual tech, not Mr. Know-It-All, an actual tech is watching this and wants to chime in if they found some trick to getting these things to just snap in just easily the first time, I would love to know what that trick is, because that will save me some time. All right. We had a guy in one of our other videos who was like, I've repaired thousands of Sharks and they're easy. And I was like, well, we're hiring, you know? Okay, there we go. Now I got it in. Am I in right? Yes, I am. I'm in right. Okay. So now we put it back together again. I'm not going to put this together because I need to call for a PCB from the boneyard. If I put it back together, I'm going to have to take it apart again. I'll refer back to when we were taking it apart where the different screws go, the different length screws. And also note when you're putting it back together again, you've got your motor wires here, and there's two little wire channels right here, which you're going to want to make sure you get your wires in. Regardless of whether you were messing with the motor like we were or not, your wires can potentially pop out, and you'll want to pay attention to get your motor wires back in the channel there so they don't pinch when you put it back together. But that's it. That's how we get a hose done.